Hello there. Welcome to this talk. This is The Dog Ate My Homework, a talk about PowerShell and BloodHound. This is a talk I gave at SoCon a few months ago, but I had to re-record it because something went wrong back then. So you get an updated version of the talk. Let's see. So I'll start with the classical who am I, but I'll start with a few memes just to give credit to Rohan and Andy for BloodHound and all the team working at BloodHound. And then I'll quickly introduce myself. So I'm a SAT processor online, known as Walter Legowski, born in France, living in Holland, father of 3. Used to work for ERNW in Germany. Maybe you know them from the Troopers Conference. Highly recommended. Then I moved to Falcon Force here in Holland. I say hi to the good folks at Falcon Force. I'm now working at SpecterOps for the BloodHound team. So I'm a big fan of PowerShell, and I'll be showing some of that PowerShell today. And back in the days, I had written the Dog Whisperer handbooks, which was a bit of an unofficial guide to BloodHound. And maybe you know these tools. So CypherDog was my attempt at talking to the legacy BloodHound REST API and sending some cipher there. Then I wrote Watchdog, which was an attempt at putting metrics out of BloodHound queries. A big pain point was ZipHound, my attempt at trying to automate ingestion of the data in a legacy, which was a complicated task, let's put it that way. So super happy this is now possible over the API in the new BloodHound. And then my most recent attempt at connecting BloodHound to other tool was working on FalconHound during my Falcon Force days. Along with Olaf, we tried to connect BloodHound to the SIEM. But then the new BloodHound came out, and so all those tools that I had written over the years were kind of deprecated, even though CypherDog would still work. But I still decided to write a new tool to talk to the new BloodHound, and this is what I'll be presenting in this talk. So the agenda slightly modified compared to the original SOCON talk. The intro, that's what we're doing now. Then I added a little bit of a demo of the install, which I didn't do during the original talk. I just wanted to be sure everything would work, so I skipped that, but here I can show you that. While everything is installing, we're gonna go into a bit of slides, and I'll explain the main differences between the old and the new BloodHound. Then I'll dive into the new BloodHound REST API, show you how that works, how you can authenticate to it, and make some requests. And then, the biggest part of the talk will be purely demo of the PowerShell module, and then conclusion. So let's get right into it, starting with the first demo, and that's for the install. Let me probably clear the screen. So I want to show you first Dockers. I'll explain a bit in the slide the whole installation, but let's say if you want to install BloodHound, you start with the Docker desktop here on Windows, and I just want to show you that I have just a fresh or equivalent of a fresh install of Dockers with no images, no containers, no volumes yet, and we're gonna install all this. Let me grab my demo. So yeah, maybe before I start, I show you the code for the tool and where you can find it. So I'll share this it's on a GIS for now. I'll share the link via the BloodHound Slack. I get that you can't really copy that from the screen here, but let's say if I was to go there, so it's on a GIS for now. You will find this as the BloodHound Operator preview. Yeah, and basically it's a flat file with all the commandlets in there. So one download, load this in your session, and you would be good to go. So with the module comes a few commands to deploy it. So let's have a look at how that would work. So let's say I would load the module. Then I can say new BH composer. And I'm going to give it the name of a folder. So this simply creates the folder and downloads the necessary file for the Docker. So if I cd into that, you will see that here I have this Docker compose file, and all I have to do to install it is say Docker composer up, and we're going to see it start pulling the images. While this is all downloading, I'm just going to switch to the slide and explain a bit, but you do see that it's probably if you went through the pain of installing the legacy BloodHound, then you see that that's a really easy fix. So back to the slides. While installing, I'm going to explain a bit. So old BloodHound versus new BloodHound. Here I want to detail a bit the components, how the applications were made and is made now, and what the difference is and what that implies in terms of interacting with the application. So for the old BloodHound, I guess you're familiar with it, but it used to be that you downloaded Neo4j community with matching JDK before that, and once you had that installed, you could simply click the BloodHound binaries to get the UI opened up. So basically, BloodHound was just an interface between Neo4j and the user, basically. It itself came with its own browser and the REST API, so you could talk to the Neo4j browser directly. That was handy to get some, let's say, some objects back or some tables. And then you could talk to the REST API to send some Cypher queries. And this is what CypherDog, so my previous tool, used to do. And this is around CypherDog that I had built all the other tools, basically. Now in the new BloodHound, the UI looks very familiar. If you've been using Legacy, there's a few differences, nothing major on that side. It's more in the way it's composed behind the difference. Everything now lives in Dockers. And not only do you have the BloodHound image, but you will also have a Neo4j and a PostgreSQL images for the install. So there are now two backing database. BloodHound itself has its own REST API, so that's a difference compared to the legacy BloodHound, where actually the REST API was the Neo4j REST API, but BloodHound itself did not have any, so you could not interact with the application itself. Here, BloodHound is fully based around the REST API. So whatever you do in the BloodHound UI is actually calling the REST API that then interacts with the backing databases. Yeah, this is where the automation is going to happen with the new BloodHound operator. So everything will be talking to this new REST API. In BloodHound Community, you can still expose the Neo4j and SQL container and interact directly with them. That's probably mostly for advanced users and not really needed, since you can do about everything almost via the BloodHound REST API itself. So like I said, this is the path for the new tooling, and we'll see that it covers all aspects of the application. I wouldn't recommend, if you're building toolings, or it's not recommended, I guess, to use to talk to Neo4j directly, even though you can do it. And for the reason being that Neo4j will be removed or is being slowly phased out. And so in a future, BloodHound will be completely Neo4j free. Don't worry though, you can still use Cypher. I'll come back to that later. So in terms of feature, easy install compared to the legacy. That's something we'll see at the end of those slides. Hopefully everything installed correctly. A complete new possibility is user management in the new BloodHound Enterprise or Community. You can have several users with different roles, and I'll develop a bit on that later. More secure authentication when communicating to the API. It used to be basic auth for the legacy BloodHound. We now have a more robust authentication mechanism, and I'll also explain that in the next slides. Both support custom Cypher queries. The difference here being that in the legacy we would run Cypher directly against Neo4j, so that allowed for the full Cypher language. For now, in the new BloodHound, the Cypher language vocabulary or syntax that you're allowed to use is limited. Let's put it that way. I think the engineering team is working on a full solution that would allow you to cover the full grammar. So also mutation that's been added. I'm not going to demo it today, but it's a very fresh feature. So as we move in time, the parity or the functionalities will be more or less all implemented, and you can use any type of Cypher language you used to use in legacy in the new BloodHound. But that's still, so that's why there's an asterisk, might still not be the case right now, but it's in the development. One big plus for me, because my goal was to kind of automate the full process around BloodHound, from ingestion to analysis and querying the data. A pain point in legacy was the ingestion, where you had to drag and drop this CSV into the application for the ingestion to start. And like I said, I tried to build my own version of importing it via Neo4j over the REST API, but that's been like trying to catch a train at full speed, since Captain Jesus was adding features and features and features. So I'm happy now it's possible over the REST API, and I'll show you how in the demo. And then other actions via the REST API. So legacy, the only thing you could do really was talk to a Neo4j and send a Cypher to it, so query the data. Here I'll show you that you can control all aspects of the application via the REST API. And then the last killer feature, if you needed one, to kind of help you make the move to the new BloodHound. I know some of you out there are still using the old one. Seen the amount of questions on the BloodHound Slack. So yeah, for me, another good reason to move to the new BloodHound is all the ADCS nodes and attack path being added to the new BloodHound. So you will not get that if you're still using the old BloodHound, which would be a shame. So that's my meme to try to convince you. Now let's talk a bit about the REST API itself. So, like I said, the new BloodHound has a full-blown REST API, exposes all functionalities of the UI, follows OpenAPI spec, secure authentication. It's the same way if you're using BloodHound Community or Enterprise. The only difference is the number of endpoints you're allowed to talk to depending what versions you're using. And it's all explorable in the UI with the API Explorer. So that's a little screenshot on the side of what it looks like when you want to try to see what's possible via the API in the application itself. I can show you that also a bit later. So all like I said, in the application, you have user management now, so you can have several roles, and each role has different permissions, which in terms will condition what API endpoint you're allowed to talk to. So we do see the full, I can do everything admin. We have a power user, we have a regular user. They have various level of access. And then two interesting one I find for automation or connecting BloodHound to other things would be this upload only role and the read only role. So these are super nice addition, in my opinion, to the tool. And like I said, you can see also there's some of these endpoints or roles are only allowed in enterprise. So depending if you're a user using enterprise in community, this sums up basically what you can do in the application itself. When it comes to authentication to the REST API, so like I said, used to be basic auth in the old BloodHound. Here we use a 888 max signature for every request. I'll show you how that looks in code in a second, but basically when you want to talk to the API, you create a token in the application that's composed of a token ID and a token key. Each request has to be signed with the token key, the operation, a timestamp, and the body itself. So the bytes of all this used to do a triple HMAC, and this prevents replay at a later date for a different operation with a different body or from a different user, basically. And then the server validates signature against each request. I can show you here in the BloodHound documentation. Let me see, where does that open? Let me take that back here. So here in the BloodHound documentation, you will find an example on an example code for working with the API in Python. So if you're a Python fan, this is where you could start looking at to build your own Python tooling. I'm a PowerShell fan, like I said, so I'm going to show you the PowerShell version of it. Oops. So this is the code I use in the BloodHound operator for the signature. So you see we take the timestamp, we take the bytes of the key, the bytes of the method, so get, post, and so on, and the URI we talk to. Take the bytes of the date and take the bytes of the body, and we do 3 times this hash computation, and we put it as a base64 string that becomes our signature, and we include this signature with the timestamp and the token ID in the headers, and we invoke REST method after that. So the code, it gets complicated to do that at every request you want to do manually. So here you have to build this little wrapper function that does this for you. And this is basically what the whole BloodHound operator module is built around. So it takes care of the whole signature every time for you. You just have to give your token key, token ID once, and then every call you make during that session will be signed and properly, basically. So now the module itself, the tool that I'm presenting here, called it the BloodHound operator, because that's what it's made for. Maybe I should have found something better. I don't know. if you have IDs. So it's a set of PowerShell commandlets for the BloodHound REST API. If you're using community, there's around 60 commandlets that will work for community functionality. And if you're using enterprise, you get about 80 commandlets. There's other objects you can manipulate, basically. Every commandlet follows this verb noun syntax with a little bh prefix in front. So it's going to be get bh something, set bh something, remove bh something. And yeah, everything I love in PowerShell. So everything output objects. You get pipeline input cross-platform. So this module should run on Windows, Linux, and Mac OS. I'd be happy to hear feedback from macOS users because I don't have much yet, so might be some things I need to fix around the macOS. Let me know. All application features are available, so all endpoints, API endpoints are covered, and it allows for whatever you want to do with BloodHound, but you could do like scripted deployments. If you're a red team and you want to deploy your users, you could have a CSV and automate the deployment of those users every time you deploy a new BloodHound instance. You could do, automated queries against the database and produce a report after that. So basically, this module is just a way to talk to BloodHound, and I hope people use it and the whole PowerShell ecosystem around it to kind of build some even cooler stuff. And it does here allow for the full ingest, query, and analyze with a bit more automation on the community or DIY on the community side, of course. But since now you can ingest, run queries, you could automate this whole process. And I put it here as an experimental feature, but you could even have multiple sessions, so be talking to multiple BloodHound instances at the same time. It's probably more useful for us internally than for, I don't know, whoever. I don't know. Quick disclaimer before before we jump into the demo. This is still a work in progress. I didn't expect it to be that big, but yeah, the API is quite has a lot of functionalities. So slowly, I covered, I believe, almost everything. But yeah, I'm still a work in progress. Some things are missing, so I'm hoping I will add this shortly, mostly around setting up single sign-on. Some things will change, so I wouldn't recommend yet building automation with this tool. I think I'm hoping to make an official release at some point where I find it stable enough that we can start to have it on the gallery and make it an official tool. For now, it's just an internal tool that I'm sharing. It's not officially supported. Of course, if you have questions, you can ask via the BloodHound Slack, and I will be happy to assist you. But it's not something you can open a ticket for in the BloodHound Enterprise system. Let's put it that way. And of course, with great powers come great responsibility. So you're going to see that with the pipeline, you can easily modify a lot of objects. So use at your own risk. I'm not responsible if you delete your database by mistake. With that being said, let's get into the demo. So let me do that. Let's see here. We should have a running install. So you did see that. Let me recap that. It did pull all the complete images. If we look into Dockers now, I do have the three components under the composition that I created. The images are pulled and fresh, they're in use, and we have the volumes created. So everything worked out nicely. Oops. So if you wanted to log into the application, the first thing you have to do here is get this initial password. Then we can go to BloodHound. Let me see, where am I here? I have a BloodHound here. I'm gonna say that I'm the admin and give that password. He should ask me to change password. Yeah. So that's my user password. That's not yet my token for the API. Oops, set a password. We're here, no data available yet. That's expected. It's a fresh instance. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to, because we want to do it over the API, so I'm not going to show you too much in the UI, but I'm going to go to administration, find my user here under manage users. That's the only user for now, the admin. And I'm going to go to generate API tokens. Here I'll click on create token, give it a name. Let's call it admin token and save this. So when you save it, this information is displayed. It's only displayed once and it will not be displayed again. So the recommendation would be to put that in a vault somewhere. I'm gonna live dangerously and just do it like so for the demo. So here I'm going to take this ID from the clipboard, put it in a variable. I'm going to take my key this time, so the secret bit, secret part. I know you see it on screen, but there's no danger here. It's a local instance, on my network. I'm good. I'll trash that afterwards. Oops, great job. So here one thing I'll show you that, but I'm importing this item as a secured string. I'm forcing it as a secured string. That's just an extra bit of caution here. So it's encrypted with my DP API. And if we look at it, it just says secure string, so it doesn't appear in my scripts or anything if needed. So with those two bits of information, so you see that's the ID of the token. And that's my key. Same thing. You would have to convert it to a secure string just to use BloodHound Operator. So here I'm gonna use this new BH session commandlet to give it the token ID, the token key. That creates a session. Let me see. I was expecting something else here. Let's do that. Oops. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't clean before. I'm gonna do it again just so that you see I have nothing in my sleeves. Oops. So this BH session variable is where your sessions are stored, when you create a new session. So let's do that again. I was expecting to see this ASCII art when I create my first session. And because I didn't get that, I knew I had other sessions in there. So this created my session. And this is the session object it creates. So simply protocol use the server, the port, the user, your role, the edition of BloodHound you're running, the version, and a few, let's say, session settings that you can use. So timeout would be the default timeout for a query, default limit, and here cipher to clip just means when I say dash cipher in a few commandlets, not only do you show me the equivalent cipher query, but you also put it in my clipboard so I can paste it into the application if needed. So that was the new BH session. Get BH session, show you the objects, set BloodHound session, and you can set those three properties here. So I'm going to do that here and show you that they're now modified to my needs, for example. And that's about it. Since we only have one session, we don't need to select it. But if you had several sessions, there's also a select BloodHound session, and you give it the ID, and then you can select. I'll show you that a bit later. First commandlet I will show you are around the API. So here I have this getBH API, which basically pulls the API spec and puts them into object. be a bit complicated to look at. So using some PowerShell commandlets this time. I'm just going to sort that a bit, select the method, the route, and the summary. And this gives you a nice view or overview of what you can do with the API, right? So, like I said, there's quite a lot. Don't worry, it's mostly covered, but this is a nice reference if you're wanting to run some raw commandlets. So this is what I'm going to show you now. The whole module basically uses this under the hood. Every other commandlet will call this invoke BHAPI commandlet with the method, the URI, and these are the URLs you see here, right? So here I could do invoke BloodHound API method get URI API v2 BloodHound users. And if I run this, it returns this data object. So you do see that once I'm authenticated, I'm never gonna have to say the server, the port. This is all stored and used from the session variable. The object return here is always in this format data, then you get the object. So the PowerShell way, you would have to do select expand data and then select expand users to get to these user object. And you do see here we have this my admin user, basically the only user in the application for now. As a short version, because I'm a lazy typist, this is the equivalent command. So the alias for invoke BHAPI is BHAPI. You can skip the method if it's a get. URI is positional. URI is positional, and you can use this .data.users here notation. So at the end, that adds up to the same. It's kind of easier to type. And like I said, that's the internal syntax, let's say, and the equivalent to get all the user is this get BH operator commandlet that does the same thing, which you can, because it's PowerShell and the verb is get, you could also simply say BH operator and he will understand that's get. So all the syntax I show you here are equivalent. This is from the command line one, this is if I'm scripting, and this is if I'm testing stuff internally or some endpoints that have been added that would not be covered yet by the commandlets. You could still tackle them with this internal commandlet. All the commandlets have their help pages. So if I say get help, get BloodHound operator, you will get the help page. I say all the commandlets have a help page. They're not all fully documented yet. That's still something I have to do, but the ID is here and you will still get the syntax because PowerShell does that for you based on the various parameters. So it still works. Here, for example, help new BloodHound session examples. You would get examples on how to create the BloodHound session, which we did earlier. Since all the commands have this BH prefix to the noun, you can do something like get command star -bh star, and that will give you all the commands in the module. I also have this BH help commandlet that will do the same thing, but kind of grab the aliases and the description, so it's a bit easier to understand. And here you see everything in the module. So all the commandlets, their alias, the description, and the command to get examples for this command. You can also use the -online switch. And this will, for now, it's as a guest also, but this kind of opens this MD cheat sheet where you can quickly navigate to the commandlet you're looking for and find some syntax and example. This is directly pulled out of the help pages, so you would get the exact same thing if you were to run it locally via PowerShell. So that's it. Just little here, little addition, but I want to give a shout out to Jonas for his work on the tier 0. So I added this little functionality, the same commandlet bhelp. Let me just do it like this. For the tier 0, we'll pull all the tier 0 objects from the tier 0 project Jonas is working on, and if you ask it online, you will get the tier 0 asset table directly. So not directly linked to BloodHound, but somehow it is. So it's kind of nice to quick access to it. Okay, so we saw the creating a session. We saw the underlying BH API that all the other commandlets would use. I showed you a bit of help. Now let's get started really. So we talk user management. I can call this BH operator that would list all the users. If I add self, it would list the current user you're using. Like I showed you in the slide, there are roles and permissions, so you can get all the available roles with the get BH operator role commandlet. And if you do BH role self, it will tell you what role you're running at the moment. If you wanted to see, for example, what permission does the power user have, you can say BH role where name equals power user, select expand permission. So you're almost speaking English. That's what I love about PowerShell. And if you wanted to do the same thing for the upload only and see that they have different permission, that should normally match with what you saw on the slide. If you want to list all the permissions in the application, you could also do this get BH operator permission to list them all, for example. Creating users, that's something you might want to automate. So little example on how to do this. I'm gonna first take a role. So here I'm asking for the role where the name is user, and I'm putting this in the user role variable. You could do this differently. As for the demo, I'm doing it that way. So you do see I have this role now in this variable, and I'm going to say new BloodHound operator, name Alice, give her an email address and a role that is the ID of the role I have here. So the ID of the user role. If I do this, now I can say Alice is the operator where the name is Alice and put that in a variable. And if I look at Alice, you do see I did create a user. Doesn't have a password yet. Doesn't have first name, last name, but we can set that. So I'm going to say demo password. And then I'm going to say Alice, set operator secret, demo password, require reset force. Oops. So that added a password to Alice, and at the same time, I'm going to set some properties. So Alice set BloodHound operator property, first name Alice, last name Wonderland, and so on. I'm going to change the role at the same time, so we can have a look at all this. Oops. Yeah, that's a PowerShell thing, but all the commandlets have a verbose switch. And I added a little, so if it's a post or anything, the normal verbose line would be this for a normal get, but if you're using post patch put, it will also show the body in your verbose. So that's handy when you're debugging or something, trying to figure out what's not working. And yeah, we do see that the user came back this time with a secret. We set the properties. You can disable a user, so I'm going to disable it right now. You see it's disabled. And you can remove a user. Maybe before I remove it, I show you that it exists in the application as well. Maybe up. Where's my browser? Up. Let's close this. Close that. You see Alice has been created here. Oops. Come back. Okay. And yeah, deleting a user. So I'm again, what I'm doing here. So when I put Alice in a variable, is just a way to pass the user ID or the object, and it will grab the ID over the pipeline. But you could completely do you could do it differently. I could be doing remove BH operator and then operator ID and pass here the ID. But I like to kind of use the pipeline for that. And you can pass the whole object over the pipeline. You don't have to select the property itself. So I'm gonna remove Alice because I did not say force. So let's just say no here and show you that if I say force, it's gonna do it without asking. Any commandlet that has, let's say, action on the data, so deleting, or creating a password or stuff like this will give you ask for confirmation, and you can every time say force if you're, for example, scripting and you don't want any human interaction with it. So here I'm just removing Alice, and now if I do BH operator when name equal Alice, it's gone, and I'm expecting that if I go in the application, it's gone too. You saw it disappear. So that was creating regular users. I want to show you quickly creating an upload only. So that could be handy if you're, I don't know, automating your SharpHound collection and you want to kind of have a way of ingesting it. You could create this upload only user. So I'm taking the upload role, putting in a variable, same thing that we did last time, creating an operator named upload dog with the upload role ID. Oops. I'm gonna create a API token for this user. So I'm saying get BloodHound operator when name equals upload dog and piping it to new BloodHound operator token name API upload only. So you saw me creating a token earlier. You saw that we have to give a name to it. So if I run this, it says, do you want to generate a token? I'm going to say yes. I could have said force. And if we look at this secret now, I have an object here that was returned. And you do see that we have the user ID of our user, the name of the token, and here the token again being encrypted. There is, or encrypted, protected, let's put it that way. There is a commandlet. So here, if I say secret key, you see it's a secure string. I added a commandlet that you can read it directly. So if you do a read secure string, it would show you the unprotected data. Now that you saw this token, two options, or I eliminate you or I revoke the token. I'll choose option number 2, and I won't use force. So it says, do you want to revoke token? I'll say yes. And that token is now not valid anymore. So I'm going to create a new one, this time not show it to you. And then I can create a session, same that we did earlier with this token this time, my upload only token. You can see that I have this now another session selected here with the little X. I'm the upload dog with an upload only role. I could also check that. I showed you that already. BH operator role self. So to confirm the role here, I just want to show you quickly. If I try to request on the application for the user, the application will say I'm not authorized, and that's because I have an upload only role, so I'm not even allowed to check on the users. So I'm going to go back to my session 1, and if I run that same command, this time it returns the data since I'm authorized to do it. That's about it, I guess, for user creation. Of course, this is a recorded talk, so you can't ask any questions, but if you do have any regarding this tool, feel free to ping me on the BloodHound Slack at some point. So data and ingestion. Here, this get data collector would show you the latest version of the collector that matches your current application. There is the import BH data collector commandlet that would fetch these for you. I already have them, so I'm not going to run it here. The only thing, be careful with Defender and SharpHound. So yeah, create folder exclusion before that. One of my favorite new features is this data ingestion over the API. So I'm going to take, let's say I have collected this Star Wars 1 data with SharpHound. So I'm going to just say zip is this item with a PowerShell commandlet. So now zip holds this, the representation of this object in PowerShell, and I'm saying invoke BH data upload and pass that zip to it. I added verbose so you can see what's happening. So he's actually looking at the data and he sees this number of objects that were imported. I'm gonna run this afterwards just to be sure, to be quicker. The data analysis should run after an upload, but just because we're in a demo and I want to be quicker, I just it. So we should see that here. You do see me here passing all the files to upload. So it starts with a start, and then I'm passing all the files under this ID one, and then there's an end. And once this kicks in, then data analysis kicks in, and he starts counting the nodes. So we should now have data in our database. You can check the upload object itself if you do get BH data upload, and it shows that we have a complete upload with one file, no fails, and gives the ID of the upload. One feature that I added to the invoke BH data upload is the possibility to split. That's experimental in my opinion. I haven't tested it enough against super large data set to be confident that you wouldn't still bloat your machine. But if we wanted to do the same import, but this time by splitting the files into chunks, you can add this split and the size of the split you want to do. And we will see here that he's actually passing the files in smaller chunks to the application. Yeah. So now if we look at our upload, you see I have two uploads. One is still happening. Yeah, you can trace back your upload like this with this commandlet. Next command I want to show you is the get BH data. So if I say get BH data list domain, it will tell you all the domains you have in the database. I have only one. You can request it via ID, and that will show you more details. Now I have the counts of objects in this domain. And then you could request it per platform, so all AD, or could be all Azure as well. Probably don't have anything for that. That's how to quickly get the volume of what's in your database. Now that we have data, we can start looking at nodes and edges. So the first commandlet would be the search BH node commandlet. And I'm going to say search BH node label user format table. That gives you all the users. I can say search BH node label user keyword Yoda, and that returns only users with this keyword in their name. It's the equivalent, the exact equivalent of if I was doing, let me do it in the application, if I was going here and doing Yoda. So that's what we're doing with this BH search. To be precise, I was doing actually user Yoda. So that's the exact equivalent query here, search BH node user Yoda. And I try to put things positional, so you can simply say BH search user Yoda, and that gives the same result. Oops. And one difference with the application though is that here you can search for multiple So I'm actually cheating. If I put verbose, you will see that we're actually making 2 calls. That doesn't matter. I like to talk to APIs. So that was the search BH node. There's also this get BH node commandlet, which if you do a search, you see we only return the IDs of that node and eventually system tags, but we return only the identity properties. If you want to get the full property, you have to do a BH node, and you can do a dash search this time. So BH node search user Yoda, and this time you return the full object. You might have seen it in verbose. I'm actually first making a call to search for Yoda, and once I know his SID, I can ask for the full object with all the properties. So that's how you would do it. Yeah, you can, yeah, I like to try to make my syntax as simple as possible. So I guess, yeah, BH node user search Yoda works as well. You can search by ID. That does the same thing. You can pass the ID over the pipeline to a BH node user. That will also work. And like I said, you can search for multiple, also works by SID, so partial SID, only the read. That's kind of a nice way of getting objects as well. Let me format table so we see it better. You do see that I return those 2 objects here, for example. In BloodHound, so if you go back to the application, if I search for Yoda, the BH node commandlet is the equivalent of when I click on that node. And this time I get all the properties, right? So there's this first step is the BH search. That's the equivalent of that. And then the BH node would be the equivalent of that. So in the new BloodHound, that's something new compared to the legacy BloodHound. When you request a node, you already have a lot of information added here that wasn't available. So basically, you can see it as, hey, a lot of Cypher queries are already run for me under the hood. And for example, here I could expand the list of groups Yoda is a member of. So without writing any cipher, but you can get that list, and you would also get the path. I would put it sequential so we can have a look at it. But you would get the path and the list of objects. So to do this in the application, I can simply say, so PH Yoda, this I showed you already, but then I can say list membership, and this would give you the list of nodes like you saw in the application. And then if I say list membership as path, this will give you a terminal, the equivalent of a path in your terminal, where each path had its own ID. So Yoda is a member of domain users. Yoda is a member of unknown planet. User Yoda is a member. And here, for example, when there's ID 22, it's one hop. So user Yoda is a member of domain users, and then domain users is a member of authenticated users. So that's the equivalent representation of these type of hops, right? Which you don't see when you ask for the list. So it's nice to have both if you want the full list of node or the composition of it with the nesting, for example. And this type of asking a list for a node works with all type of nodes, of course. So here I'm going to ask for the computer Death Star. You see my computer, and we see, pump this up a bit, push this up a bit, so we see it better. For example, you see that he has 6 controllers. So if I wanted to list that, I would say search Death Star list controllers, and we would get those 6 objects. And if I ask for it as a path, we get, they're all one hop path, but that works. So that's the equivalent of what you saw in the UI for these expanding lists. And the list of what you can expand, of course, depends on the type of node that you're requesting. it will autocomplete or tab complete accordingly. So try it out. A new feature also in BloodHound are the node groups. So get BH node group will give you this admin tier 0 group and the owned group. So if I wanted to put some users in the tier 0 group, for example, in a programmatic way, I could say that tier 0 is the node group where the name is admin tier 0. So now tier 0 holds this group here. And then I can say BH node group tier 0 ID member to get the list of members of that group. And if you wanted, for example, you could, I don't know, let's do OGV out grid view should work. Well, I'm just trying to say here at that point you can do anything PowerShell can do. So export it to a CSV or whatever you would want to do with that list of users. They're your objects in the PowerShell world. So here I did an out grid view. Yeah, maybe there's not enough, but it's sometimes a nice way of checking your data. Yeah. That up. So these are the members of the tier 0 group, and if I wanted to see do I have any custom members, I could say where custom member using the PowerShell syntax. So I'm going to say I want to add Chewbacca and Yoda to tier 0, so I'm going to say custom tier 0 equals Chewbacca and Yoda. I'm going to search for those users. So if I did that, it would return those two users and pipe it to add BH node to node group, give it the node group ID of tier 0. I didn't say force, so he's asking me to confirm, and he will do that for each object. When I confirm, he creates the selector, is what it's called in the BloodHound lingo, which will add those groups to tier 0. So now, if I ask for these nodes, I hope the analysis ran already. It's giving me the two members, so they've been added as custom members to tier 0. And if I search for the users, you can see that also here on the system tag now holds this admin tier 0 tag. So that's how you could add a whole list of users, for example, to tier 0 in one go. If I wanted to remove them, I can do it the other way around. So get my two users and then remove from BH node group. I'm going to use force and verbose. So we see it happening. You do see that he deletes the two asset group. Probably here requires a bit more time. Let me do this. Try and force an analysis. If I search for the nodes, yeah, they're still in there. So the analysis needs to run for them to not be tagged tier 0 anymore. I can wait a bit, or you can trust me on that one, or we can come back a bit later. So that was it for the nodes. Another command that you will get is the get bh path. Many ways to write this one. You can say if it's the shortest path or not. You can say the source type and the target. I'm just going to run this so you see that it returns objects. BH path source user, target group, name domain admins, edge member of, and I want to see the cipher. So this shows you the cipher query, and since I had this cipher to clip true, you could eventually go directly in the application, paste that, and see the equivalent graph. Did I do that? I don't know. Does my query return anything? Maybe that's a good question. Okay, so there's no data in there, so that's normal. From any user admin to any computer, that would be the query. So who's admin to what computer? Yeah, here I just wanted to show that instead of saying source, you can also say X and Y and R, and then it makes more sense why in Y where is actually your target. So you can fine tune your queries by using where if I show you the syntax, it just puts your why where syntax here. That's maybe a bit advanced. I don't know. You can also shoot like just custom whatever query, BH path, and then open the quotes, put some cipher in there, and hit enter. So that's basically the equivalent functionality of what CipherDog used to do. Was basically that. Now the BloodHound operator can do all the rest. So yeah, shooting any kind of cipher query here. I want to show you saved queries. So you can save query into the application for future use. Maybe I show you in the application where you can do that. That's the equivalent of, let's say I love this query, I want to keep it. I would simply click on this, give it a name, my query, save it, and then I have a saved query here. If I go back to the demo, if I ask for my saved queries, where I should have one now, the one I just saved. But I want to show you how you can create that over the REST API. So I'm running the command and storing the output in a variable so I can use it later, but you wouldn't have to do that. You can basically create a query with just that, right? So if we look at demo, my query has been created on the server. You see ID2 and my query is here with its name. And then you could use that commandlet, which has an alias of BH cipher, and then to run. So because it's in query, I do BH cipher demo query format table, and it would run directly that query. So my queries are here. I could also delete them. Do I want to delete query ID2? Yes. Oops. Sorry. Yes. And I should be left only with the first one. So that all works. Okay, so far everything I showed you works in BloodHound Community and BloodHound Enterprise. Here I want to show you quickly some of the BloodHound Enterprise only objects and how to interact with them. So I'm going to create a session to Enterprise server. Here are test.bloodhound Enterprise. I'm using a specific, of course, token IDs that I have stored in variables already. So I'm putting this in a hash table and I'm splatting the hash table as parameter after my new BH session, just to show some other PowerShell syntax. Now, if we look at the sessions, you do see I'm connected as BloodHound Operator to a BHE server running 5.10 RC1. And HTTPS traffic this time. Who am I? Again, just that's my command to always verify. But yeah, it was already shown in this output also. So the first object I want to show you is the client. So in BloodHound Enterprise, the collection is also part of the whole product, and you have clients running collection at regular interval and pushing this data to BloodHound. So if I have a look here, probably have a lot of clients because this is our test instance. So we have a lot of crap running. Sorry, excuse my French. I'm gonna create a new client, call him demo client, and it's an Azure Hound type of client. You see me posting up. If I have a look at the object that was returned, you can see my client was created. I'm gonna give him a schedule, a collection schedule, and you can see now that he has an R rule added. I'm gonna create client tokens and put them in this client token variable. Do I want to create a token for this client? Yes. And then, yeah, that's again a way to call that exact client. You can have a look at the token here. The token is also a secure string for display purposes, but you can convert or read it with the read secure string commandlet. And I could remove it the same way. So my client, maybe I show you in the application. Wait, let me grab some creds. Where am I going? Sorry about that. I'm back. So let's go to a BloodHound Enterprise. I'm a BH operator, and that's my password. So familiar UI if you're only a CE users with a few extra tabs here that do make the difference. And I wanted to go to administration, my clients, manage clients, and I should find somewhere here my demo client here has been configured. He's not calling in yet, so nothing is going to happen, but on the application itself, it's registered. I could then create my client and pass it the key for him to be able to start pumping data into the application. So I'm gonna now delete it, poof. And if I ask for it again, it's gone. Same thing in the application, probably, if that updates. Oof. Do we have 5? Did I not? Sure. Okay, forget about that. Statistics. So I showed you already. We can put a domain. That's all the domains we have in there. I'm going to ask just for one. And then once I have this domain, I can ask for the data from it. So this you can do in CE. The one I want to show you here is the posture. For this domain, for example, it gives you some index based on calculation of the amount of attack pass in your environment, and the tier 0 exposure being those attack paths that end up in tier 0. This is historical data, so you could track that over time. Not much variation here in my data set, but this is some easy way. You could push this data to a SIEM, for example, and track some simple metrics. Any variation to your exposure index or tier 0 count would probably require some investigation or some confirmation at least. So that was the posture. The posture is calculated based on the findings, and these are all the finding types you will get into the application. So quite a few of them. That was all types in the application. For a specific domain, if I want to see what type of finding there is, I can search for that domain, pipe it into BH finding list available, and this will tell me that I have 2 findings in this domain. If I want to see the detail for a specific one of these findings, I can do BH finding detail, finding type, and one of these types. I'm going to ask for the 10 last ones. There's only one, so that's okay. So that would be your finding objects. You could also get the spark lines, so not the details this time, but the count to a specific date. And that would be, if I show you in the application, maybe, that would be the equivalent of being on the posture page and seeing those graphs, for example. So you can get all this data and more, because here you cannot get you can, if you hover over it, get the data points, but you can get all these data points out of the application quite easily. And you can, of course, dive into a finding, for example, list of exposed principles, and so on. So for each of them here, I'm going to do a look back of 3 days for the spark line of the T0 generic all finding, and that's kind of the equivalent of the graph you would be seeing here on a period of 3 days with accounts being passed. Oh yeah, one thing I want to show you quickly, but I didn't have, this is also available in CE, but I just didn't have that data set in my CE, is the composition feature and how that looks if you ask for a pass. So here in this domain, I have a finding for escalation 9B to ADS escalation 9B to tier 0. I could ask for the path for it, and that's the findings you have. So 4 accounts, let me put that in Cypher maybe, and go to the application and show you what we're looking at. No, I don't have Cypher to clip in that session. Wait, let's do it that way. Set clipboard. Okay. What did I do? So if I go back to the application now, I should have this square in my clipboard. And we do have these 4, let me layout, sequential, I don't know, whatever. We do have these 4 groups with a ESC 9B to the domain, right? What I want to show you is the equivalent of doing, when you click on the edge here for an escalation, you can get the composition. And this will show you actually all the how do you say, settings and configuration that lead to this constructed escalation 9 edge, right? And you do see you need all this, and all these nodes are involved in this calculation. So here in BloodHound Operator, I can get the last one, that was the account operator one. We see the object, and if I pipe that to BH composition, I will get the equivalent in graph this time, where the group account operator has a generic all over the server has a generic all over the template is published to the enterprise CA, and the enterprise CA is enterprise CA for the root CA. Right here, the root CA is the root CA for the domain. So that's one of the condition. Then we have the next condition here. I'm not going to read it out, but whoops. You get the ID. So that's how you can also get the object that is equivalent to the composition. Let me check this. Perfect. 1 and 3. So let me show you quickly. That's experimental, but I think it's quite cool. You can select multiple sessions. So now I have 2 selected. If I ask who am I, I'm administrator on those sessions, and yeah, you could run other commands. Some commands will tell you you're not allowed to run them in multi-session mode. That's all the one that modify nodes. But the regular get, normally you can get across multiple sessions. I could select none, and that would be the end of the demo. Yeah, finishing off maybe with those commandlets where the BH composer up was to create the container. It's stopping now. You could do a down to take it down. You could do a kill all, or kill all to remove also the volumes. You could do kill neo, and that removes only the Neo4j volume. So then you can start with the same users in the application, but put some fresh data in, for example. Oops, did I do that? Volume in use, yeah. So I would have to down it first, I guess. BH Composer down, yes. Put. And another cool one is the BH Composer update, which will update the application for you when a new version comes out. I saw them already on 10, so that's the latest from yesterday. So nothing new here. And that's about it. So now if we did that, or I'm going to do a kill all. Okay. Yes. If we go to Dockers again, you will see that normally my volumes should be gone and some left over, but that's about it. Okay, so that was it for the demo. I'm going to finish off with a few more slides. Let me get back to where we were. Demo here. So yeah, I hope you kind of liked what you saw so far. I only showed a few commands, but I hope you find it now what you need to start creating automation and connecting BloodHound to other tools maybe. The plan for me, oops, that's coming. Yeah, I'm still kind of squashing some bugs and adding some features as I go, also because the BloodHound engineering team is amazing, and they keep adding new stuff, having new ideas. So do expect more features in BloodHound, and as they come out, I try to add them to the set of commandlets. Yeah, I didn't show that one, but there's also now the commandlet to clear the database. That's also possible. Sorry. I want to write some help documentation before formatting that as a proper module and releasing it at the end of June at PowerShell Conference Europe. So by then it will be on a real GitHub repo with some more solid documentation for you guys. And then at some point, once it's been used by enough of people and considered stable, probably push it to the gallery for some easy install module, BloodHound Operator kind of commands. And then on your side, what I would like or hope is that you kind of download it, play with it, give me some feedback via the BloodHound Slack. And then once we fine-tuned it, you can start really building more stuff around BloodHound. That's my goal. Questions, I guess we skip because I'm alone here. This, well, you kind of had to be at SOCON to get the Captain Jesus autograph. Make sure to ask him in your next con. Just want to finish with a quick big up to my kids here. Hi, I'm on YouTube. And yeah, thank you for watching this talk, and yeah, hope you enjoyed it. Ciao, ciao.